Next item, speakers from the floor.
Speakers may address the council under the terms of ordinance number 4765. Time is limited to 4 minutes per speaker. Please refer to the last page of the agenda for specific rules governing input. Anyone from the north side of the room, please. Please step to the podium, state your name.
Good evening, Guy Don Carlos. I'd like to read to the board a portion of an article from the Edgar County Watchdogs that may be applicable. It's about public disconnect and public funds being used for personal purchases. It is clear that illegal spending has been going on for so long with so many of our public bodies. We now have people insisting that those actions are legal. As a back-to-reality contribution to the citizens that want to understand what the law really says, I'd like to share evidence that shows that their claim to be totally baseless in the law. Illinois Combined Statutes 725/33E16, misapplication of funds. A, an officer, director, agent, or employee of, or affiliated in any capacity with, any unit of local government or school district commits misapplication of funds when he or she knowingly misapplies any of the monies, funds, or credits of the unit of local government or school district. B, sentence, misapplication of funds is a Class 3 felony. Each and every educated administrator knows credit cards are not to be used for personal purchases. When they use it for personal purchases, they've violated the above referenced criminal statute. Some have argued if they pay it back, that's okay. That's not true. Ask the former mayor of Pekin, Illinois. The Illinois Supreme Court recently affirmed the conviction of the former mayor of Pekin, Illinois. He was convicted of 3 counts of official misconduct based on his use of the city credit card to obtain cash advances for gambling purposes. While the specific fact pattern in this is unique, the legal effects of the case are worth learning. This case could have a reverberating impact on the way that municipal officials in the states deal with public money and credit cards. Not convinced that it's illegal to use credit cards for personal purchases? The Illinois State Constitution is part of our law. Section 8 of our state constitution, Article 8, Section 1 of our state constitution. A, public funds, property, or credit shall be used only for public purposes. B, the state, units of local government, and school districts shall incur obligations for payment or make payments from public funds only as authorized by law or ordinance. When a public official spends money on a credit card, it can only be done as authorized by law or by ordinance. There is no law that authorizes public funds for personal purchases. Doing so is a violation of our state constitution, which is in fact official misconduct, as well as the criminal code pertaining to the misapplication of funds. And to bring things back to the most basic of legal principles, we turn to Dillon's Rule. Dillon's Rule is derived from 2 court decisions by John F. Dillon in Iowa in 1868. It affirms the previously held narrow interpretation of a local government's authority in which a sub-state government may engage in an activity only if it is specifically sanctioned by the state government. A municipal corporation can exercise only the powers granted explicitly to them. Those necessary for fairly implied or an incidental or incident to the express power, but those...
Mr. Carlos?
Yes.
I'm sorry, your time's over, sir.
Okay, well, thank you very kindly, and I think I got the gist of it. Thank you very kindly.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else from the north side of the room? from the south side of the room. Please step to the podium, state your name.
Good evening, Bob Despain, 108 Linwood. This council is asked to recall that all 5 members had petitions signed in order to be elected to your current office. They were nonpartisan petitions, and now corruption abounds. Even though Councilman Stamen has remained silent and untouched, he now joins the other 4 in being corrupt. His actions indicate he is a Democrat, but that is contrary to the petitions used for his election. Again, they were non-partisan petitions. Next, it appears the previous city manager, as well as the current interim manager, is currently responsible for the different seating and speaking arrangements for special meetings in the training room. The next controversial issue, like gambling or having a church on Clay Street, will probably cause many citizens wanting to speak. The training room is not arranged to accommodate speakers. Further, this cane-assisted disabled party is quite sure the city is violating the American Disabilities Act. How the people's business is conducted overshadows what you do. Last Wednesday, I arrived early to the Collinsville Appearance Board, only to find the Uptown Development Commission winding down with Director Leah Joyce absent. I am guessing a driving under the influence, being one of 5 charges, was one of the reasons for her absence. I was disappointed that the CAB lectern arrangement was directly in back of the chairman. It should have been at the other end, like it was before a couple of years ago. The interim city manager has the ultimate responsibility of the placement of the lectern. I intend to watch the video of tonight's special meeting. When speaking to the CAB, I mentioned the law states that meetings shall be held at specified times and places which are convenient and open to the public. I suggest using the council room or even the current council chambers, these. Finally, I told the CAB 5 years ago the right to speak law was passed, but the city still fails to comply, and now so has CAB. Thank you for your attention. I'm talking about what the rules were with regard to people speaking. The mayor knows very well what I was talking about.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else from the south side?
My name's Donna Ayers. Cheryl, in my book, you're pretty much of a thief. Anybody that steals from the city, you should be taken out. Literally, you should be fired. And I don't understand why you all are letting her get by with this. You used the credit cards consistently. And the only reason was you got caught. That's the only reason that you fessed up. I will let you know that I work for I'm on Hot Talk, Ferguson Radio. I will definitely let it be known what you've done, because basically it's public anyway. And I'm all over the world. So people like you should be ashamed of yourself. And I hope you do resign. And I don't know how you can look at me and not feel any shame at all. I mean, none. I mean, you sit up there and you stare at everybody like you didn't do a thing wrong. And they should take you off this board. I'd be ashamed if I was your family member. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else from the south side? Please state your name.
For the record, my name is Rob Dorman. John Miller has admitted to this council that he is corrupt, and Cheryl Bromwich that she misused city credit for personal purchases. I started addressing this council in July of 2015, and in August of that year, I read in verbatim the words of the mayor to the chamber where he referenced a scandal involving him and Cheryl terminating the city manager Scott Williams' contract. He said that he wanted nothing more than for it to go away. I assured him then it wouldn't, and here we are 9 months later. Instead of going away, it's been in the newspaper more than ever. John and Cheryl both need to go away by resigning, as the papers called for. John Miller, when I told you in August it wasn't going to go away, you didn't believe me. Do you believe me now? I don't think I need to read Tuesday morning's editorial, but Tuesday morning certainly was a wake-up call in more ways than one. That's when I was able to verify that that the city purchased a space gray iPhone 6 for John Miller's personal use. John, besides the fact that you just voted to raise my taxes while saying you had to do it because you've tightened the city's belt so much it can't be tightened anymore, your new iPhone 6 was the latest model when it was purchased and is a luxury and the city's property, taxpayers' property, and it was not purchased for city business. It was purchased for a personal line. There's no record of that line at City Hall. I FOIA'd it. No record of it on Google. It's unlisted. Let that sink in. Like a taxpayer leech, you've got another entitlement, even after you were warned by a concerned citizen that is a parasite, by raising taxes, you were killing the host. I don't understand, though, how you don't realize the gravy train stopped last July when you fired Scott Williams and that you were going to be the first one kicked off it. I'd like to read what the Illinois Constitution says about public funds and public property. It's already been read. But public funds, property, or city or credit shall only be used for public purposes. The state, units of local government, and school districts shall incur obligations for payment or make payments for public funds only authorized by law or ordinance. Is there any ordinance allowing you to have a taxpayer-funded personal phone? You're in violation of the Illinois Constitution since the phone was purchased with public funds. Don't you agree? Silence is consent. Absent an ordinance allowing the purchase, now let me read the law, which was already read. An officer, director, or agent of an employee of, affiliated in, or any capacity with any unit of local government or school district commits misapplication of funds when he or she knowingly misapplies any of the monies, funds, or credits of the unit of local government or school district. Sentence. Misapplication of funds is a Class 3 felony, which means if you're convicted, you will not be able to be on this council. I contend that applies to Cheryl misusing city credit as well, and have alerted the authorities as such. Paying it back doesn't mean it wasn't misapplication of funds. This is Sunshine Week. Do you know what that means, Jeff Stamen? I'd like to know why, when the other councilman condemned Cheryl Bromwich's actions at the last meeting, you didn't say a word. Do you support having morally bankrupt councilmen? Yes or no? Do you think it's in the city's best interest to have the Belleville News Democrat ask for their resignation and then stay on council? Do you read the newspaper? John and Cheryl, according to the paper, both got what they wanted. They got rid of Scott Williams, who had investigated them. Was the reward for you to vote to terminate Scott to be mayor pro tem? And so you have to be silent? Do you think the public's stupid? Dr. Martin Luther King said, power is the ability to achieve a purpose. Whether it's as good or bad depends on the purpose. So far, the purpose of this council has not been to listen to taxpayer wishes. Speaking of stupid, I know Jeff Stamen said he wants to workshop the agenda packets so he can understand them better. How about workshopping some of the invoice reports, like tuition reimbursements or travel? If money is so tight, then why buy the mayor an iPhone for his personal line? Why are taxpayers spending $35,000 in dues, $8,000 of which are questionable at best? Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Please state your name.
William Williams. Myself and Donna Ayers, as she stated earlier, we do have a radio station. It's a podcast that goes worldwide. You have some cards up here. I'm going to give you, or leave them up here for you guys. I would love for you to call the station and explain why you're doing what you're doing. We've been to many meetings around the area. We're called. We go to them. Caseyville, Washington Park, East St. Louis, Cahokia, now Collinsville. You're falling in the same rut as they are. Get the corruption out. You know you did wrong. Sign a letter, resign, get out. You should be in jail. Any of us would have done it, we would be in jail. Any of us would have taken money from where we work at, we'd be in jail. Do what's right. Resign. You can't hide behind the board forever because the citizens are watching and they walk all the way around you. You won't ever be elected for anything ever again. Get out while the getting's good. That's all I had to say.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else?
Philip Ostrowskis, 105 Lexington Drive. I think I'll be echoing the same sentiments. You see me, but are you listening? Did you listen to the people before me? The people who have spoke for the last month. Everything we read in the newspaper. Accepted practice. If I take your credit card, John, and I go out and buy $2,200 worth of tennis shoes, what happens? Anything? Mr. Stamen, anything? You three have gotten together to vote in a pack on every major issue, whether it be taxation or anything that was discernible to the citizens of the city. Please listen to the people. It may be time for a town hall meeting where we can address you individually or anyone that wants to answer these questions. As far as the credit card policy with Ms. Ammon, I'd like to know, has it been resurrected to mean something different than if you get caught, you'll have to return the money? Or do we have one mistake and you're fired? Has there any update to this? Have you reported it on this council floor, to the newspaper, or the daily blog in the Collinsville City? I think the taxpayers have a right, the residents have a right to this information. We've got to do something. I mean, how many months? We're not going to stop. We are not going to stop because it is wrong. You cannot tax us, defer money through TIF funds, give Home Federal a heating and air conditioning system, and by the way, most of them are not fluorescent bulbs either. Them are standard bulbs. Lost my train of thought. As far as releasing this information to the Double News Democrat, how come? Where did you get this information for freedom of information? Was it your consul? If you got the information from consul, why isn't he responsible for the $14,000 rather than the taxpayers of this community? I see places we can spend money all over town. Right going down Summit where John Miller lives. We put in a beautiful sidewalk. It's attached all the way to the Beltline. Then we go up Summit on the right-hand side, no nothing, you'll have to walk in the ditch. Kids that have to wait for the buses either stand in the street or in the creek. If you catch a Madison County Transit, you don't have a sidewalk. But we do have money for Home Federal, the Bank of Edwardsville, every saloon in town. And speaking of saloons, this ought to ring true as far as when I say it's saloons on Main. We've got another employee of the city embarrassing us again. Is there a correlation between TIF director and alcohol?
We're not going to talk about staff members.
I'm not talking about anybody directly, Mayor. And I'm addressing it as a body. Nobody directly. And you've been addressed all night as directly, as is Ms. Bromelich, Ms. Stamen. So don't call me down on that, please. I have the freedom to speak.
You do, but
Right.
you do not have the right to belittle staff members.
Boy, if alcoholism is a problem, Mr. Mayor, that's not belittling her. If she's got a problem, maybe we ought to offer an AA program for TIF directors.
Let's not go there, Mr.
Okay.
Ostrowskis.
Let's go somewhere else. I was up at City Hall getting my water turned on a couple months back before Italian Fest. And I asked, why are these sidewalks left open by Webster School with yellow caution tape around them? Down here at the corner of Chestnut and Church, kids have to go around it. What are the city employees doing? Putting up ornaments for the Italian Fest.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else?
Karen McReynolds. On July 13th, 2015, Mr. Scott Williams' contract was not renewed because he was doing the job he was hired to do. Mayor, you said he wasn't liked, and on that day I said there was a reason some didn't like him. He was trying to clean up questionable past practices, especially those involving city-issued cards. He was also investigating alleged fraud and corruption. It's a shame a person loses their job doing what they were hired to do. Mr. Stamen, the newbie, voted with the mayor and Ms. Brombelich. Either you didn't have a clue what was going on in City Hall, or you chose to ignore it. Either way, you made a huge mistake, and now you're in the thick of it all. Please, Council, someone propose an ordinance to stop the use of the city-issued cards and implement a different system. Someone could construct the ordinance and ask to have it placed on the agenda. Mrs. Brombelich, please avoid further embarrassment to your family by resigning. Nothing seems to embarrass you, but they surely are not immune to it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else?
Linda Reho, 205 Westview in Collinsville. I'd like to speak directly to the council about our community. First of all, a community that cares for its members is one that should be valued. Dependence and interdependence is the power that fuels our success as a community. It's in the shelter of each other that we succeed. As a community, our survival and strength is directly related to our ability to work together, to grow, encourage business, influence job growth, home ownership, strengthen our tax base, and stabilize our community membership. Just a small shift, even a half step in the right direction, can lead to greater blessings. A growth curve that will expand our development, increase our strength as leaders in the Metro East community. And success does not mean hiding our heads in the sand and denying the need to grow, which comes with a need for funding. You don't get to anything without paying for it. To not acknowledge that each improvement and must cost us something would be foolish. To not be progressive would be an injustice to everyone in the community. Progress and growth necessitates change. It also requires courage to stand up and fight for the progress, to speak up and put your money where your mouth is. I'm hopeful that our current administration is progressive, because when you truly analyze the past leadership, it's obvious that that was not the case. Many of the issues that are being spoken to are a direct result of past corruption and pure laziness on what is now our past city management and department heads that are no longer with us. And there's a reason they're no longer with us. And the citizens voted for the people that are on this council today. We all lose when individual agendas instead of community needs are focused on. And that includes our seniors, our students, our businesses, our schools, our churches, our volunteers, our taxpayers, our visitors. It includes our parks, our economic progress, our programs, and our taxes. I'd like to give a shout out to our township office and our senior center for the services provided to our community members. We have many great programs in this town that I'd like to see continue. I'd like to leave our community with one last thought tonight. Do not get trapped in the negativity. This is where evil and hatred breeds. Speak up for the good and the kind and the things that are right in our world. Speak up for the change and the progress. Get out of judgment and get into curiosity. Seek the whole story. Weigh both sides. Tell it like Paul Harvey. And now for the rest of the story. And until those out there that are not standing up to speak for the whole story come forward, you'll never know, because all you're going to hear is the negativity. The nature of evil is to deceive us with just a little bit of the truth, not the whole truth, just enough to trick us. Dangerous misjudgments are made when the whole view is not acknowledged, and adjusting the path just one, sometimes painful step at a time will move us closer to a brighter future. When a newspaper like the Belleville News-Democrat prints an editorial staff article and they redact and black out whole pieces in that article and only highlight certain areas, is that the whole story? Is that the truth? When they don't even put the name whoever wrote it on the article and it's just editorial staff published, is that the truth? Is that the whole truth and the whole view? Who knows? People are going to believe what they want to believe. At the same time, I know that there were many years under our previous management that things did not get done, and the progress that we're moving forward with and the money that is now being voted to be spent to repair our streets, our sewer systems, our water systems, were things that were desperately needed and could have been taken care of all along, and the sidewalks. And until everybody really looks up and says what really had been done in the past and where were things, I, for one, see the cleanup as a good thing and hope we move forward with the change.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else?
Mary Drum, 116 Kingsbury Court. I want to thank Nancy Moss and Jeff Kipta for standing up for what they believe in, for standing up for the truth, and serving with honesty and integrity. The misuse of the credit cards, the illegal misuse of the credit cards, I'm lost for words on what to say. I'm embarrassed to live here anymore. It's terrible. I've lived in Collinsville all my life. And if I can't trust the people to handle the funds and handle the money, I don't know what to say. And no one is standing up with Jeff and Nancy. I don't understand why. If you're not against it, then you must condone this behavior and it's wrong. And Cheryl Bromwich, please resign.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else?
Janet Schultz. Anyone who cannot handle their own finances has no business sitting on this council deciding how the city spends its money. I would like to say a huge thank you to Lexi Cortez for the excellent job of investigating reporting. Hopefully she has opened people's eyes. With all the evidence that she has presented, it can no longer be brushed off as just idle gossip. Please keep digging, Lexi. I'm sure you will find a lot more out there. I repeat, anyone who cannot handle their own finances has no business sitting on this city council deciding how the city spends its money. It's time to step down. Or it's time for the mayor and Mr. Stamen to ask you to step down.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Seeing none, next item.
Comments and announcements